so anybody that's there, we actually turned on the streaming, the live streaming on YouTube. Hello?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, so if you want to go to that instead, you might be able to hear better. Boy, nobody's responding at all. All right.
I'm hearing fine on this connection, so
Okay.
this is Claudine.
All right, I think just Bruce for some reason isn't in here.
Is he on mute possibly?
Well, he's not from our end.
No, but on his end,
Right.
maybe we can give him a little sign that says unmute yourself. Maybe that might help.
Well, I'm sending him a text. Hopefully that will help.
I heard him earlier.
All right.
I think the issue is
Okay. So,
we can hear him, but he can't hear us.
do you want to continue?
But I'm getting tons of static right now.
So you might. All right. So we do have the live stream up if people want to go to that. See how it just disappeared. Okay. So anyway, the general order of meeting is the agenda right there, and then quorum requirements. 4 task force members and attendance at a meeting are necessary to form a quorum. No task force member shall leave a meeting without permission of the chair. If such members are present, it's necessary to maintain a quorum. I'd like to see somebody enforce that, but that's okay. You can strike that if you want. And subcommittees of the task force are not subject to the rules for a quorum. However, in all cases, subcommittees will act in accordance with Section D of these bylaws.
That it might be that 4 task members in attendance as statute permits, because we're under executive emergency order, and we might be meeting electronically rather than, so what is attendance?
Well, by their order, anybody who's in attendance, either remotely or physically, would count. But as far as that, no task member shall leave the meeting, you could probably take that out if you want to. But I'll let you folks talk about that, what you want to do. So Bruce, well, looks like he's there. So, anyway, this is yours to consider. You can, you can use just because you do really need to organize. I mean, you can use this format to organize, and then you can come back next week or next time we meet and, make any suggestions.
Is there any danger to a boilerplate, structure?
That what is missing is a standard boilerplate phrase that says the group may vote in meeting to suspend the bylaws for good cause.
Buddy, you
Oh,
hear
okay.
And you can ignore them that. The other thing would be under C4. You've already given a wonderful description of the duties of the secretary, a brief summary of discussion.
Right.
And on C4, all you need to say is a record of the proceedings of all meetings, motions, actions, and discussion summaries shall be kept per RSA 91A, NH Open Meetings Law.
Okay, can you say that one more time?
I will give you this.
Okay. All right, so and the other part about suspending, you've got that in there too?
That was on the fly.
Okay.
Well, this is Bruce.
Hello, Bruce? All right, so if you can't hear it on your computer or even, by this very well, we did turn on the live stream on TV if you wanna, on YouTube, I mean, if you wanna go to that.
Good, but at least I can see what you're doing and I can hear you.
All right. Good. So Andy, I'll let you take it. I mean, if you wanna.
I mean, the only thing I have is, unfortunately, there weren't some people who wanted to be on this task force, and we only had a number of seats. So my biggest thing is the attendance. Hopefully everybody's going to be able to show up, and if you're not, then let whoever's going to be the chair, let them know that you're not going to be here, because there are people out there that actually want to participate in this task force. And so if you're just not going to show up, or if you're not interested anymore, then so be it, and we'll just put somebody that wants to be here here. So that's the only thing I really.
Do we set some type of minimal limit of attendance, so that opportunity,
Yeah, I mean,
everyone's pushing to get here, and it's understandable, we're not all here tonight, it's not about that, but right to your point, so do you make a thing and say, hey, if you don't make 40% of them, or, it doesn't have to be a high bar, but there probably needs to be a number, because you will have people that will push any envelope that isn't structured.
right. And I'm not saying, we all have our,
Yeah.
things going on in our lives, and that's fine. Just a phone call to the chair, or the vice chair, or whatever, just saying that, unfortunately,
Excused attendance, yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to make it tonight, or whatever.
Yeah.
And, but if you just bluntly, are not gonna show up and don't
Yeah.
wanna participate, well, then there's people that really wanna be here. And unfortunately, they weren't chosen, but if you don't wanna participate, then we'll just choose somebody else.
Yeah. I think that's smart.
So, Mike?
So, as far as the attendance and the bylaws, you may want to gander at the zoning board's bylaws that were just gone over. I think they're written pretty well about attendance, who attends, what happens if you don't attend. There's a time frame there, so you may want to look at those bylaws. I think it's written really well. Add them to this right here. Are we discussing any of these?
But, I'm sorry, Mike and I are on the ZBA. I was just reading the ZBA bylaws. Members not excused by the chair are subject to dismissal by the Board of Selectmen after 3 unexcused absences.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
Plain and simple, right now, yeah.
So it's up to you guys if you wanna add that into these bylaws, which I think is a good idea, but
Yeah, you wanna be credible.
but it's up to you folks.
Andy, can you just repeat what was proposed?
Yeah, so we were just talking about the Karen, about the attendance, and if it's three unexcused absences, then I guess the selectmen could choose somebody else to sit on the board, and you would forgive your seat, and you'd be.
Andy, would you like me to read that again and speak into the microphone?
Sure.
Okay, mask down, I'm at a distance. Members not excused by the chair are subject to dismissal by the Board of Selectmen, since we are their subcommittee, after 3 unexcused absences.
Okay, Karen?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I get it, trust me, you know that, Andy.
Yeah, no, I know. So.
That's fine by me.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then I guess, Ernie, we'll just add that to the bylaws, wherever you wanna
Okay.
stuff it in there.
Yeah, adopting the zoning board's
Yep.
rules on attendance.
So up next, is the organization. So, we need to, elect a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. So, This is totally up to you guys. If somebody has somebody that they'd like to recommend, or if anybody wants to talk about it, feel free, floor is yours.
Or if anyone wants to
Karen,
volunteer.
Can I just kind of, this might be out of place to say, but I was just wondering if we could maybe talk a little bit more about, you know, what the mission is of this committee. I know I have several questions, but I think it's important to establish what the mission is so that if somebody wants to be chair, then they're committed to that mission. You know, I've been on several committees before where, you know, you have people who just, they want to participate, but they're not really passionate about the mission of the committee. And I think it's a, you know, it's a personal decision that a person would have to make, but, you know, if as a group we even have a preliminary mission of what this committee is about, that person can then decide whether they can fulfill the role of a chair, you know, with the utmost enthusiasm. I don't know if I'm kind of.
No, I understand what you're saying, and the mission really is in the is in number B, really, in the bylaws. You know, the charge of the task force. That's kind of the mission. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if the committee wants to talk about it, that's fine with me. I mean, we're just trying to get this all set up so you guys can start your mission, actually.
Andy?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. So Larry.
I know I read everybody's comments, and you know, I get the sense that folks do have some questions. I mean, I have some questions myself, which I did not put in an email, but if we want to continue on, you know, solidifying, I guess, the bylaws first, that's fine as well. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Larry?
Mr. Chairman, Karen has just spoken to the reason she has been so useful on those committees that she has served on.
Ask
And-
Larry to yell.
If you want, Larry, you can just put your mask down while you're talking.
Okay. Karen, you have just proved why you have been so useful on those committees that you have served on. And you have also given a good description of the guiding and discussion focusing responsibilities of the chair. Did you realize that you are now in nomination to be chair?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Larry. but no, I feel
Got a nomination?
someone
That-
has to
Well,
have the passion
do you want to put that?
to fulfill
as
that
an-
role.
That's a nomination.
Well,
That is a motion for discussion, if not premature. If it is not seconded, the motion is premature.
so Karen, Larry just made a motion to put on the floor to talk about it, that he'd like to motion for you to be chair. Is that something that you would accept, or?
If the group wants it, then yes.
Okay.
Second.
Well, it's been seconded.
All right.
Well, I'll just say that I have worked with Karen Galome on many boards, and I think she's going to be a huge asset as a chair. So, congratulations.
You gotta vote.
Now we'll vote. Can we have we'll take a roll call vote. You want to start, Larry?
I will start. Larry Brown, aye.
John Giacco, aye.
Mike Baloo,
Tammy Smith, aye.
Andrew Ross and I. Bruce? Oh, he can't hear
Oh,
us.
okay, yes. If I'm a voting member, my answer is aye.
Okay,
Claudine Burnham, aye.
well, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Okay, well, there you go. We have a new chair.
Well, I hope I can, fulfill the role, for you folks. So, but thank you for your support. But I'm, for those who don't know me, I'm one of those, I like everyone to work together, and I really go out of my way to make sure everybody has a voice on a committee. So it's not a committee of one, it's not a committee of two, it's a committee of how many people are on the committee. So, so I thank you for my support. Hopefully, I will look for any input from any of you on how things, should be done, whether things could be changed. And to me, it's this particular committee. Our mission probably is going to be fluid more than anything, but I think the first step is to kind of solidify and come up with a common mission. I know we all come from different aspects and we all have probably different opinions, but I think it's important for all of us to share one common mission and support it. So, but
Very good. So up next on the organization is the vice chair. So the floor is everybody's to talk about vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Larry Brown for vice chair.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second on the floor. Mike Beaulieu, up for discussion.
Discussion. I don't think that is useful, because I am a cheerful techno-peasant. And I'm not only that, I'm an adamant techno-peasant. I like one-on-one discussions. I do not like electronic conversations. I think they defeat the purpose of public discussion. And it is also time. My goal was always to get to 60, look like hell, and coast out. I've been successful. But somebody younger needs to step up, and the best way to have them do that is for me to say no.
All right. Well, there you go. Unfortunately, Larry, did you hear Larry?
yes,
Okay. So, thank you, Larry. Anyways, so it's up for this. It's up for discussion. Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to actually, if Larry is a definite no, I'd like to actually nominate Mike. So.
Okay. So,
And just clarify for
Yep.
Karen.
so Karen just nominated Mike Beaulieu. Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay. Is there a second for discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Tammy. And it's on the floor for discussion. Does anybody want to talk about it, or
How about Mike?
Mike?
I accept.
Okay. Well, Mike Beaulieu accepts the vice chair nomination by Karen Galome. Do I have a second to accept him?
We already had that, Tammy.
Oh, Tammy, I thought it was for the discussion, but okay.
I'll second it to accept.
Okay, so we have a second, so Mike Beaulieu is now the vice chair, right? And now we'll do a roll call vote?
Larry Brown, aye.
John Gianco, aye.
Mike Beaulieu, aye.
Bruce
Tammy
Woodruff,
Smith,
aye.
aye.
Okay.
Karen Golab, aye.
And Andrew Ross and I. Okay, so now we have, Karen Galome is the chair, Mike Beaulieu is the vice chair, And, under the organization, we now have the secretary.
Can
So,
I say something about that?
yeah, so Ernie just wants to talk about that.
No, I just, you know, the role of secretary here, I mean, you know, Larry had mentioned it in the bylaws, you know, it should just be brief description, I mean, if there's any supporting documentation, that can go along with it, but the minutes don't have to be long, any kind of recommendations and votes for that should be recorded. But I really would appreciate it if the person who is electing, secretary can take that on, because at this point, you know, we're trying to cover minutes all over the place here. And, I don't know that I could, take anything else on.
Hmm. So we actually really need a secretary, to help this, committee out. So, on the floor is, to talk about is the secretary. Do we have anybody that wants to step up to the plate?
So, if I may, I would ask Tammy if she would like to, before making an announcement of a nomination.
Mm-hmm.
I would accept it, yes.
Okay.
And I'll make that nomination to have Tammy Smith fill the seat of secretary.
Okay, so Mike Bull, you just made he nominated Tammy Smith to be the secretary. She
Second
was,
before she changed her mind.
and she took the post. So, do we have so Larry Brown seconded it, and so now we'll do a roll call vote. Starting with Larry?
Larry Brown, aye.
John Gianco, aye?
Mike Billy, aye.
Tammy Smith, aye.
Andy Ross and I.
Karen
Bruce Woodruff,
Gillette.
aye.
All right. Well, thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome.
That's a
Yeah.
huge help to really Ernie, so, in the new task force, so.
Mr. Chairman, humor for the benefit of the new secretary. Albert Einstein got the complete justification for the atom bomb on one page to President Roosevelt.
Good to know.
1 page.
I'll keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, they definitely don't have to be verbatim, so just, yeah. All right, so now we have the organization completed, thank God, and I'm happy to turn the chair over at any time, but, up next is the discussion for the initial tasks.
What
So,
are you looking at us?
Is Bruce still on the line?
Yes.
I am. Is there a way that we could move down to the survey?
yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
what,
what I was asking, yeah.
yeah, we're right on it right now, Bruce.
I wish I could share my screen with everyone, but here's a quick story about this. The Milton Economic Development Committee tasked me with developing a short, concise survey that really tried to drill down into what the citizens in town wanted to do when it comes to growth and development. Asking what the town's greatest asset was, what master plan chapters should require the greatest focus, what type of development is needed most, what types of housing is needed most, and then there are some questions about cultural activities, supporting certain kinds of things in town, and what should the town's top capital improvement priority be, and what should the town's top economic development priority be. That's 9 questions, and I'm suggesting that this group get behind a survey like this, but I'm suggesting we add one more question. And that one more question, I'm putting this out for discussion, might be, what do you think should happen in town government to make it more efficient? Now that question can be massaged a little bit, but that would end up being a very short 10-question multiple choice survey that could be disseminated, through various venues such as, Survey Monkey. It could be put on the website. It could be it could be printed and put right at the front door of Town Hall, and it could be mailed out. So this is something that I think deserves a discussion by the group.
And I would agree. A survey is a great idea. In the past, we haven't had good responses on surveys, but to your point, we've focused the surveys on the town website and the Facebook type avenues to get the survey out to the public. But I think if we expand, how we get the survey out to the people, we might get a better response. It does get discouraging, but I think given the current climate, we might get more response now with targeted questions that you kind of outlined. So
one of the next steps probably for me would be to make sure that all the members receive a PDF copy of the survey that was developed for Medic, and then possibly come up with a draft question about government efficiency.
Can I ask something, Karen?
yeah,
This is Ernie. I wanted to know if Claudine was still on the line, and because she had talked about something with me in terms of a survey. Claudine, do you mind talking about that a little bit? Because I know Tammy had mentioned it as well.
Yes, I definitely think that a survey would be helpful. What came to mind is we do have an election coming up. Not sure how that's going to be handled, but that might be another outlet that we can utilize with our voters to provide a survey during that time of waiting, or maybe it's something that they can do as an additional. I don't know what the rules would be on that.
Yeah, there definitely are specific rules. And that's something that I know we on the Conservation Committee, we needed to actually work with Chris. And there's you have to stay a certain number of feet away. And there are specific rules. So we would definitely need to touch base with him.
Yeah, so my understanding also is that so far the voting's going to be at the school, so that gives us a lot of space. Perhaps we can have a table near the exit or entrance and be able to have a little display of this particular task force with a little information and have that survey available.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, any means possible to get out there. People are looking for, ways to have a voice, and this sounds to me like a perfect way to do that. I'm just wondering if it might also help if we actually partnered with the Economic Development Committee, and maybe kind of had a joint discussion with them about what are we really looking to get from this survey, and kind of cover all the bases for both committees. But I just throw that out to the group.
So, Claudine, the other thing that you talked about, and I think if you could do it there when people are voting, that's a great way to actually make community contact. But you talked about, I think, actually going out and trying to do some personal surveying too. Is that is what you just suggested? Is that what you meant by that?
Who are you asking?
I was asking Claudine.
Yes, I think that's a great start. And then what we could do, one of the things that I was interested in also is even just doing door to door. If we kind of have a task force that are willing to kind of just go door to door, and asking people questions and introducing what we're doing.
Well, considering everybody's at stay at home right now, especially the teachers and all that, it'd be a great time to do it.
That's true.
Does anybody have any input?
Mike just said, considering that everybody's at home, this would be a great time to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add is I think really the first step is getting all the members a copy of the survey. And
You said that.
then I'm going to also note that the medic really worked on the 9 questions, and they had already put their thumbs up to moving forward with this, and then the pandemic hit. So, you know, it's a good idea getting with them and talking with them about, gee, is it all right to add a question or two? And then the survey would be yours and theirs. So let me do that for you. Let me send that out, and then you take a look at them. And I think that then maybe you could have some discussion on whether you want to change them or whether you want to move forward with the way the questions are, and then we can talk about how to disseminate and get them back. And I have to go.
I'd like to add one more.
Sorry, I have another Zoom meeting.
I'd like to add one more thing, if I might. Doing earlier in my career, and even more recently when I was in Raymond, we used to do business visitation. So, you know, every year, and with the Community Development Block Grant program, you know, it's really important to go out and make community contact. We used to do door-to-door surveys there, and it really does make a difference. I mean, people, I think, are surprised by that, you know, when people care enough to go out and actually make human contact. So I just, you know, when that was suggested by Claudine the first time, I just thought it was a great idea and a great thing to discuss. So, and now I'll be quiet, 'cause it's your committee.
Yeah, and I think we all have to get out to the community and start the dialogue, you know, with all the residents to try and, for those who want to be involved, to at least provide them a means to have some kind of voice in some of the decisions that are being made. I think a lot of residents are really screaming for to be able to have that type of input. So anything we can do to help and facilitate that certainly would go a long way to getting support, not only for this committee but the economics committee and a lot of the other committees in town. So as you can see, very rarely do we have people from the public showing up to any of these committee meetings, but if we give them a way to have input without having to come to a meeting physically, that might help.
I definitely agree. I think that we just need to, you know, get enough people to be able to do this and, you know, divide and conquer. And I think that if most of the people know that we're out there trying to bring the community together, we might start seeing some more response and being more active. I think that there's a lot of distrust, like we've heard, and just finding out just what their voices are, and certainly having questions at hand that they can answer, and maybe they have something else that we can learn from as well.
I would definitely agree with that, 100%.
So yeah, if that's something that if the economic committee has something, and maybe by the next meeting we can all pitch in with some other questions that might be useful, and I think that would be a great way to start.
The only other thing I would add to that, a little caveat, is we have done surveys in the past, a long time ago. Obviously things have changed, but another high priority for a lot of residents, I'm not going to say the majority, but for a lot of residents, is maintaining the rural, conservative, conservation type land within the community. So it's kind of a double-edged sword that we, need to work with, but we do have that aspect that we have to, keep in mind as well. So I don't know if there's a question on that we can add to the survey, but
I think there is one on there, Karen. One of them is what is the town's greatest asset? So it is,
Yep.
there's housing, natural habitat. So yeah, I think that is covered on there, but I agree with you that it's very difficult to try to figure out how we can increase our tax revenues while still keeping Milton small and attractive, which is, probably why a lot of us moved here to begin with. It's a small community, and that's what we like about it.
yep, you hit the nail on the head. So
I'd
it's
like to jump
it's a
in there.
challenge. We have a lot of challenges in this town. So, but I think if we all work together,
Ask her, yeah.
we can overcome maybe not all of the challenges, but some of the challenges. So,
Yeah, we have John wants to add to that, Karen.
Hi Karen, this is John Gianco.
hello.
It is a struggle, and I have a struggle when we talk about this. Just from the point, and it was kind of in my email, and people will know better than me, and that's why I'm asking the question. We take, God, it's hard to talk and breathe with this thing on. And if you're a little nervous on top of it, forget about it. So I apologize for taking off. When you look at like what Mike's doing across from Cumberland Farms, I think it's really important that we support someone like him to get those 2-3 units that are gonna now be there in full quick. But that's a great effort and reason to do that. At the same time, he's paying taxes on that building. So I want the forward to the conversation is when we say we have Aurora Town, and I totally agree, and I just heard the other night when you spoke about developing the waterfront near the bridge, and those things have to happen. But where is the piece of property that we entice to someone to build a 2,500, 5,000 square foot store, business, manufacturing plant? I mean, you go down Main Street, there's not another property. I think they just turn Stop, Drop, and Roll into apartment. Is that what's going? It looks apartments, but the old Stop,
Oh.
Drop, and Roll building. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think it's turning into a business. I could be wrong, but I just don't know where those locations are that we're talking about sometimes when we say we're even jeopardizing our rural capacity because no one's gonna drop a property out next to the river or down in the Brown area, whatever that existence is. But so I guess I just struggle with, if the gray building comes down to Cumberland Farms, is someone gonna drop a business there? No. If the yellow building goes out, is someone really gonna drop? Probably not, So I think it's so important that we support these owners who have had empty buildings paying taxes to us and getting businesses enticed to get here into those buildings. But you really gotta show me the 10 lots we're talking about to get businesses on somewheres in the main threshold. Now, develop 75 or develop the industrial park, which is a great place. My kids went to preschool up there, and I've seen that develop tremendously. So I guess I almost think that our community is what it is, and it can be protected and will be. But when we talk about new business, we really should identify where that goes, other than filling the businesses that are empty today.
Mm-hmm. And I think, the other part to that, unfortunately, Milton struggles with our infrastructure. And so that's a big struggle for us. If say 75, had good infrastructure, with water and sewer, and it would, businesses would, probably be more apt to, it would entice them to come, but unfortunately, you know, it costs a great deal of money, and, you know, we'd have to look at different revenues to try to, you know, see what we could do for the infrastructure in Milton, but that's one of the pieces that we really struggle with,
Yeah.
and, but it's all good questions, I mean, hopefully we can figure it all out, but, did you hear John, Karen?
I did, and I agree with him. I mean, you know, I started out by saying that, you know, Milton is a small, unique town with an abundance of challenges, and you know, we're kind of a small town, you know, surrounded by bigger towns with a lot more land, and you know, you got Route 11 and, you know, all that type of thing, and we're not a town that's an attraction for, you know, a big company to come in and put something in town. So I think, you know, working together with the economic committee and our committee, it's almost like we have to kind of come up with the character of the business that will fit into Milton, and try to come up with an aggressive marketing campaign to attract those businesses and convince them why it would be good to open a business in Milton. You know, for years I've been saying, you know, Exit 18 would be a perfect location for like a Cracker Barrel restaurant, you know, or, you know, along a river might be a great idea for a microbrewer, you know. So, you know, working together as a group, you know, what are all the different types of businesses that would fit into Milton, but also would work for that business, and how do we develop a marketing strategy to go out and find them and attract them to Milton?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Did, yeah, Mike Beaulieu's on the floor.
So
to
Karen,
speak.
you're right, this actually, Milton's on, I think is starting to move forward. Right now, we can look at the downtown area with the Dunkin' Donuts, the Dollar General, and Mike's, plans for, you know, leasing out spots there. It's turning into a merchant's town as well, as a industrial town, as we have our industrial area. So, I don't think it would take too much prompting from a lot of people who want to see that continue forward on that pace.
And there really isn't a reason there can't be a micro hotel at 17 if it was developed by a developer and somehow benefits the town backwards. When you look at the traffic jam that's happening, so if you look at growth 10 years out for this town and the way
Mhm.
other towns have developed, we've all seen Rochester, the Ridge, how quickly, and agreed those opportunities go away, as Larry has spoken to, but they also come back again, and all those Cracker Barrel or microbreweries, so it's never to say it can't happen, but I think identifying where it can happen and then selling those pitches and then making sure, just like Mike said, downtown's looking great. I mean, and so making sure that Mike gets people in those 3 units as quickly as possible to get his benefit back, so next time a business owner comes to town, say, wow, look what the town was able to help me accomplish here.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Larry.
Are we still back on getting our question number 10 for the economic development survey that we were gifted with? If so, who sets the text of question number 10? When does it come back to the committee? What date does it go out, and how is it distributed? Think.
Yeah, well, that's a good question for the committee to you know, come up with. I mean, Bruce, you know, threw out maybe a possible number 10 question, and which I do like it, but it's your committee, so whatever you guys decide.
Karen, is that something that we could think about and maybe email you if we come up with a question that we think may be applicable?
Well, you know, that was a question I had, and that's a very good point. This being just a subcommittee, if we converse other than this room, but electronically, this is the way it is right now in this era, would we be violating 91A? Because it's a subcommittee now, it's not committee, it's not board,
It's still subject to 90.
and it's only for one subject. It would have to be approved either by the selectmen or the board on each subject. This would be just for the survey. It would make it more efficient.
Right, that's the point, right?
Yeah, unfortunately though, like Ernie just said, it just still falls underneath the 91A.
It does.
But no, I understand what you're saying, Mike. So did you hear Tammy's question?
Bits and pieces, but,
Okay,
and I apologize for not being there, so.
no worries. Do you want to try to tell her again?
Yeah, Karen, what I was saying is, would it be okay to email you a question if we thought of one that might be applicable for question 10? But again, I don't know if we're gonna be violating any.
The rules are that once Bruce, sends out the survey, people take a look at it. You can certainly communicate to one person input, but there's no discussion on that until we get together as a committee. So one person, actually, I would probably, suggest either the chair or the secretary to kind of put together everyone's thoughts and bring it to the next committee meeting. So there's no discussion on email. You can send something, but you can't really discuss anything as a group besides, scheduling the next meeting or something like that.
Okay.
Is that correct, Ernie?
Yes. And you can use me as a clearinghouse for that kind of stuff if you want to. But, again, you can do it just the way you were describing it as well. Because I think probably, you're gonna want me or somebody here, to actually put together agenda packets and so forth, which we can do. It's the really time consuming stuff like putting the minutes together and all of that that would be tougher. So however you choose to do it is fine, as long as people understand that even though you're a subcommittee, you're still a public body, because you're a subcommittee of a public body.
Yeah, so I would suggest, but open for discussion, that, we start with, taking a look at the survey. But I'd also like to reach out to, whether it's Ernie or Andy or whoever, reach out to the Economic Development Committee as well, to work on it together. I've seen in the past committees working against each other, and I'm a total advocate for, if we have a common goal, let's try and get together and work together. And I certainly don't want the Economic Committee to think that, we took their survey and now, we want to revise it on them, and because that's not the intent. But we are a new committee, and so I think we need to at least show some respect for all the work that probably the Economic Committee put together or put into putting together the survey, and that's just my thought. So, not sure if other people have any thoughts on that.
Well, and I'll add to this. We did a Survey Monkey not long ago with a subcommittee off the conservation. You're probably aware of that, Karen.
Yep.
And it was on, it was about, doing some educational things down at the town beach. And we found that if the survey is really long, people just
out.
yeah, they lose connection, they lose thought of process, they so when we did our survey with the Survey Monkey, I think we had like 5 questions, 5 really important questions, and we actually did well with our survey. It wasn't that long ago, and it really helped out to where we're going with what we're trying to achieve. So, I mean, does it have to be this many questions? Does it have to be limited to 10 questions, or on yeah? I mean, because if I was doing a survey, I mean, I don't know. This might be. I mean, it's something to talk about. I mean, do you want it at this length? That's up to you guys, but I just know that, I mean, these are all good.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
I know myself. I have a 5-question rule. So.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. But again, I know I'm sure a lot of work has been put into this survey. So I'd want to work together with the other committee that did put the time into this, and maybe we do kind of tweak it to try and get it down into 5 questions that really will zone in on, what we think the issues are. But.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's something to think about and look over during the next month, and when we come back, maybe we can hone in on what's gonna fit best for the town for this survey. I mean, it's like, again, it's you guys's it's your survey, so I was just throwing that out there that it might be a little lengthy, that's all.
And can I just make a suggestion? Maybe it's just something separate from the Economic Committee.
I have a suggestion too. Maybe we could reformat our survey, maybe to say on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank these things? That way we can see which ones are the most important.
Mhm.
And then from there, you can really narrow down your focus.
That's an excellent idea. In fact, I wrote a note about that. Maybe taking these, let's say like the what is the town's greatest assets? I start reading down the assets, and I've already picked out 4 that are top of me.
Mhm.
Right.
So maybe from 1 to whatever, how many questions there are, what's more important to you? Maybe affordable housing might be number 1 important
Yep.
to you. I think it would kind of simplify your survey too. Once you get all the information and calculate it up, you can get a better idea.
Mm. Okay, Larry. Yeah.
Okay, Larry Brown. Back on the topic of the 10 question survey and changing it around. Just wrote this down. The Economic Development Committee put out a great questionnaire about what our community needs and what the best economic development goals are and what is best about our community. Right now, the Efficiency in Government Task Force needs your help to answer the following question. What tasks and goals do the best to support town government services and grow the town? And that, because part of what I'm hearing is that the property tax load, the way New Hampshire does business, is so high that every question bounces back to economic development, which is why I put out what I did, referencing the July 5th article from Foster's, which laid out why Route 11 exists as it does, why the Ridge is in business, and what we lose by having Route 16 a closed on-off road, and that ain't gonna change.
Hmm.
So the efficiency in government task force is a separate topic from economic development. Economic development exists no matter what the structure of government is. But what structures do we have that can change? And I'll tell you, Karen thank you, Ernie. Karen, did you get an electronic copy of the memo I put together on the task force goals?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Then that is 9 topics that all point back to the operation of government and what government has the power to create in terms of its assessment of the cost of roads, it's in terms of trying to develop a broadband infrastructure, in trying to put in a super speed electric charging station, all of which define the character and value of living in the town and accepting the tax load. That's the efficiencies of government.
Yeah, and a lot of thought, and I read everybody's, input, and, I myself, some of the questions I had is, what are the boundaries of this particular committee? We've got the economic committee, we've got the budget committee, now we have this committee, and to me, the lines are a little fuzzy for me on, which committee is supposed to be focused on what. So, I think when I, originally mentioned that, what is our mission and how is it different than the Economic Development Committee? How is it different than the Budget Committee? It kind of, to me, there's some gray areas there.
So again, this puts us back to how do we connect? Getting out there, door to door, no one wants to do that, but this is the only really efficient way to get out there to connect with people. We see people every day that we know in town anyway, at least I do. And the other point I want to make, Larry, you did a great job on this. This is a great editorial. But I think as we discussed earlier, Tammy is nice, short and sweet. I read this whole thing. By third paragraph, with the thing going on, I'm starting to lose it. It's a large editorial, and it's really written well, but no one's going to sit there and read this whole thing. But I understand, and make no mistake, this is just for the committee. I don't know if we publicized it for the public to read, so something to think about.
Right. Yeah, and I think more or less that was for the committee.
Yeah.
Am I right, Larry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that. I'm
Right.
just saying that if we start publicizing stuff, an editorial like this just
Oh,
might
yeah.
not reach them.
No, I agree. So, well, all right, so Karen, so everybody's gonna take the survey, check it over. Are we gonna maybe at the next meeting come up with a possible 10, or are we gonna revisit it and see if we can shorten the survey? Is that what we're gonna be, is that our work for the survey?
Yeah, I think just from my opinion, I mean, I'm just one person, but my opinion is the starting point should be, let's look at the existing survey, and number one, does it focus on all the points that we want to try and address? And number two, is the length appropriate, or can it be shortened? And to, I think it was Tammy or Claudine's point, can it be kind of redesigned to make it easier to answer the question.
Mhm.
You know, we do a lot of surveys at work, and we find that free form is the last thing that you want to do on a survey. You want to do the checkbox,
Right.
you know, the scale of 1 to 10 or that type of thing.
Right.
So I think we need, the starting point is to look at the existing survey.
Right. And if everybody agrees that maybe the survey might be a little long, the way we did it at, on our group, on our committee was, we all numbered which ones, 1 through, say, 5, which would be the best questions here on the survey, and that's how we eliminated maybe possibly some of these, you know, questions. We just numbered them, and we went from there. You know, because we all brought our own questions, and that's how we got it so that it wasn't, you know, a 50-question survey. So, I mean, that's a good way to do it too, you know. So,
I would
But-
agree, yeah.
but that's up to the committee. So, all right. So up next, does anybody else have anything about the survey?
Yeah,
All right.
that, this is not an editorial. An editorial is an opinion piece. When you have from New Hampshire Department of Economic Services, Employment Services, the retail wages for retail clerk for the state, and when you have retail employers that are absolutely Dunkin' Donuts, Dollar General, Cumbies, and the new mobile station, it is not an opinion piece to say that is what retail salaries will bring to this town. It is not an opinion piece to say that the cost of salt and sand is $14.75 a ton, and we're giving five-gallon buckets away for free. Do you want to do that? Is that efficiency? That is the task that this committee has the power to give a recommendation to the selectmen. Do you want to, for example, we lost $250,000 in money. That's not an editorial statement. We lost that $250,000 in road repair. Do you want to stop putting hot top on the roads? Do you want to put them down to class 5 hard pack? That is a decision that the committee can take to pass on to the selectmen. That's not an editorial. That's a charge for this committee to think about something in concrete detail and give an answer back to the selectmen. What do you want to do for recycling? Tipping fees are going up. That's a statement of fact. That's not an opinion piece.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Smith has said if the tipping fees go up, the trash goes out to the back roads. What do you want to do? What recommendation can this committee make for the efficiency of government? We can't do anything about the development on Route 11. We don't have the topography. We don't have the infrastructure. Right now, a class 5 road costs $500 a linear foot, and black asphalt hot top is up to $80. I think $80 a ton. What do those costs do to the efficiency of government? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so is there so the survey, any more questions about the survey?
Nope.
No, okay. So everybody's gonna do some homework, take it home and figure out, you know, if these questions are gonna work, or if they wanna eliminate or add or whatever. So I guess that's the homework. So up next is the other information gathering, tasks, assignments.
Karen, this is Ernie. You know, you're in the bylaws or the rules of procedure. It gives the, you know, how does it label that? The charge of the task force, you talked about mission before, and I think that kind of goes a little bit to, you know, what you've sort of been bandying about and what Larry had mentioned and what he's got in his write-up. Maybe developing that mission statement, you know, would help hone in on some of these things that you need to actually focus on. And the other thing I'd suggest, and then I'll be quiet again, is that you know, you don't have to meet to begin with. If you need to meet sooner than, you know, 1 month just to kind of finish some of this up so you can actually get rolling, you can do that too.
And yeah, what I would, I'm the type of person, if you know, to me this is important, not only to this committee, but to the town, to get this committee, you know, rolling and get some momentum. I would actually suggest that, at least in the beginning, that we meet twice a month. I know in the bylaws, you're supposed to choose, you know, a day of the month that we are going to be officially meeting. But I think in the beginning, it might be beneficial for this committee to meet twice a month, every other week, because it's amazing how you lose momentum if you're only meeting once a month. But I would propose that to the group. They probably want to retract me being chair at the moment, but I throw it out to the group. You know, at least in the beginning, is everybody willing to commit, or do you want to commit to twice a month?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and it says under C, under meetings, special meetings may be called by the chair or the vice chair. The chair shall select the date, time, place of the special meeting, and the town administrator shall give at least a 24-hour notice for the meeting. So, you know, if that's what everybody chooses to meet, you know, you just pick a date and,
Well, bear in mind, there's people here that are also on other committees to make sure that they don't conflict with other responsibilities.
right. Yeah, and like Mike said, you know, fortunately, people are on different committees here, so the date would have to work for everybody. And you gotta make sure the town hall, on that date isn't being used by, you know, another committee, so, yeah.
Yeah, we used to have it almost looked like a monthly calendar on the website, the town website, that you could just click on and you could see the dates when all the meetings were scheduled. I can't seem to find that anymore. Did we?
This is where Ernie can step in, and Ernie can send you a basic calendar, meeting calendar, month by month, if he would be so kind.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Mike.
Yeah, Ernie's right now actually looking for the calendar, and he could send it to you.
Yeah, okay. Did we want to at least, and we can do what we want to do, our official monthly meeting, but did we want to start off with when do we want to meet next for this discussion? Because what I'd like, and throw it out to the group and see if this is something that works for everyone, wondering if everyone individually can kind of come up with a 1-paragraph type mission that they would like, they foresee this committee doing, and then we kind of talk about, you know, each person's mission statement, and at least that'll facilitate the conversation of how do each of us feel the mission of this committee is, and then maybe we can collectively come up with a common one. Does that work for everyone?
Sure.
I see a lot of heads shaking yes.
Okay, so I mean, those are two huge items, the survey and the mission. To me, you know, developing a mission statement is a lot more difficult than it appears. But I think if we meet in 2 weeks and we try and discuss not only the mission statement but the survey, that's probably enough for the next meeting.
Karen, that calendar is actually, if you go, under the, upcoming events list, down at the bottom is a link that takes you to the actual calendar, so I've got it on my phone right now.
Okay. Okay. I'll look for it next time.
Karen, did you wanna try to pick, a date that this committee would, meet every month?
Sure. I mean, today is what? Today is July 22nd, so that's the fourth Wednesday. The Conservation Committee meets on the second Monday, and the Casey Road meets on the first Thursday. So the fourth Wednesday of the month would work for me, but I mean, I'm just one person, so.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
That's for a regular monthly meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that work?
Excuse me, Karen, you
Yeah.
had mentioned maybe possibly meeting twice a month, so would that be the fourth and the
So-
second Wednesday?
Yeah, so our official would be like the fourth Wednesday, but for this purpose, we meet also on, what's the fourth Wednesday in August?
26th.
I can count.
The
That's
26th?
26th.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Tammy.
August 6th?
Yeah.
August 5th,
20.
I apologize. August 5th.
Oh, for the
For the next
second
one,
meeting,
yeah.
yeah.
The first Wednesday and the fourth Wednesday?
Yes, so that would be August 5th and August 26th. The 26th being our official monthly, and the 6th being like our special meeting. Almost like a workshop. Can we label it a workshop, or can we just label it a meeting?
You can label
Ernie.
a
Yep.
workshop.
Yeah, you can label a workshop, Ernie said. So,
That would be the 5th, correct?
August
five.
5th? Yes, number 5.
Okay, thank you.
And, nope, no worries.
So
And
I-
August 26th, 2/6.
so I think the consensus
right?
here is, so does the 26th work for everybody for a regular meeting
Yes,
per
fourth Wednesday.
fourth? So it works for this group here. Tammy, Mike, John, and Larry, and myself. So we just have to shoot this off to Bruce and David.
And, David,
Benedict.
and Mr. Pratt.
And Doug Shute. But I think the consensus is it works for the majority, so that's probably will be the date.
Okay, yep.
So, I mean, because the majority is here, so so I would just go with that, and then for your special meeting, it's gonna be on the 5th, or your workshop.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, question, Ernie. I used to send agendas to Ashley. Do I send them to you, or do I just work with you to put together an agenda
Yeah, we
for
can
posting
do,
purposes?
you can work with me for now. Next week, there will be somebody
Oh, I
starting.
can't hear you. Someone,
Yeah, I
go
said,
ahead.
for now, you can work with me, and, you can work with me, throughout the whole thing if you want. We will have someone that, will be starting at the land use position on Monday, on the 27th. So, but I mean, you know, they're going to be becoming familiar with things. But we can work through me if you want.
Okay, so they will be, in the future,
Yeah.
the point of contact for this committee, but in the interim, just work with you.
Right, and it may be that we just keep working together because I mean it's you know, that's fine.
Okay.
Mm. All right.
All right.
All right, anything else? Okay, Larry?
And on that agenda and on materials going to the committee, there should be some way to put those out as part of the records of the operation of the town, so that committee members, like anyone else in the community, can go to that common website for information, rather than seem to be having private conversations that are not accessible to the public.
Okay.
So if I want to know, or my darling daughter visiting from New York wants to know when we are meeting as the Efficiency in Government Task Force, bingo, you go to the town website.
Okay, so up next is just any other business that may become before the task force. So is there any other business that anybody wants to discuss? Larry?
Yeah, one more thing. If nobody has figured it out by now, I love words. Karen was talking about what the goal should be. I'm going to pass this to Ernie so it can go out electronically, but just off the top of my head, to work for and support the community pride and spirit that is our community, to recommend and research best practice standards for town government operations, to advocate for new business, support the continued success of businesses we have, and to preserve the best our heritage has brought us. And that brings in the economic development and continues the contact and obligations to town government and to what the community offers in different voices.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other business before the task force?
The only other question I have, and it's not something that needs to be answered tonight, is do we feel it would be beneficial if we extended an invitation to at least, you know, a representative or a person from the Economic Development Committee to join one of our meetings?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess it wouldn't hurt. I mean, you know, I mean, we're all trying to work here together and make Milton prosper. So, I think it would be actually nice to reach out and invite the chair of the Economic Development Committee or anybody who wants to come, and yeah, it's nice that we can all work together. So.
Okay. Did folks want me to do that, or did Ernie or somebody else want to do it, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you, I got some heads nodding yes here, so, they're saying yeah, so if you'd like to take that task on, that would be good.
Okay. All right, I will do that.
Okay. Any other business? Is it? So, I want to thank everybody for coming, and hopefully the next meeting, Karen Galom will be doing this, and I just want to thank everybody for stepping up to the plate. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Aye. Gary Brown,
Aye, John Joseph.
stand up and
Will
leave.
you, aye?
Tammy Smith, aye.
Andy Ross and I.
Karen Goleb, aye.
All right. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.